it's Vas here from Aussie RC Playground and welcome to another unboxing. Today we're going to be looking at a new car from Hobby King. This is the Berserker, which is a 1/8 scale 4-wheel drive brushless truggy. Now of course Hobby King have had the Sabertooth out for quite some time, which is the silver car that you see over there. I've had that car now for a couple of years and I've reviewed it of course, and a lot of people have been pretty supportive of that car. But the Basher Sabertooth had its limitations. It was more of a budget sort of entry-level truggy. Hobby King have kind of stepped it up a little bit with this one. They've given us something that can run 6S out of the box. They also give you a spare diff and spur gear and pinion in there so that you can run 6S with it. And it is available in 3 different versions. You have a ready-to-run, an almost ready-to-run, which is kind of like you have to install your own radio. And then, of course, you have the kit, which I'm assuming with the kit you'll need to actually build it up and put it all together. And then, of course, you need to supply your own electrics and servos and radios and all that sort of thing. So I got the almost ready to run, so all I had to do was put a receiver in it and bind it up to one of my radios. And this guy was pretty much good to go. Now, it is a very unique looking truggy. It has a pretty decent sort of looking platform. The chassis looks very nice as well. But of course you can't see any of that with the box in a way, so let's get rid of that guy. I'm not going to slap it because you know what, there's actually quite a lot of cardboard in there from the packing and it's quite heavy. So I did sort of punch it earlier and it kind of hurt. Alright, so here's the truggy itself. Here's some goodies. Now, little confession, you will need to put the stickers on the truggy when you get it, and before you go crazy and start putting stickers on it, make sure you remove the plastic film that's on the body, because when you get it, it's going to be kind of dull looking. You'll see that there's a plastic film on the actual body. Peel that off, and then of course you can go ahead and put however many stickers you want to put on there. That's the sticker sheet. There's a couple of them left which I didn't really know where they went, and it's got plenty of stickers on there already, so I kind of left it as it was. In this little white box here, this is where the spare diff is. There's also a little bit of a toolkit included, and I'll see if I can get my camera to focus in on this. There we are. So there's that, couple of little spanners there, and you've got, I think these are for like you're adjusting your toe on the A-arms. The diff itself, that is it here. Comes already with the spur on there, and you can see there's also a spare pinion included. So this you will need to run your 6S apparently, because if you run 6S as it is, chances are you may overheat the motor. There is some oil in here. It is very thick oil, so this is probably going to be a bit of a wheelie king on 6S. I think they recommend that you swap out the oil in the actual diff for something different, but I'll need to test it out myself and just see how it goes. I did get some spare oils and so forth with the car, so I'll run it and I'll see how it goes, and then I'll try and maybe just toy around with it and find a sweet spot so that everybody out there can actually enjoy it and have some good times with it on 6S. Now, the manuals. I have to say, Hobby King have kind of stepped it up a little bit with these manuals. They've actually done a pretty good job here. We'll get this boring stuff out of the way first. Now, there is this brown sheet which has kind of a blown up picture of the entire car, and it's got part numbers attached to it, so you can pretty much just refer back to this if you break a part or something comes off, and you'll be able to find a part number and order it online without any problems there. The manual itself, really nicely illustrated, really high quality paper they've used here as well. Lots of part numbers and upgraded parts as well that you can get, I think. And yeah, it just gives you a bit of a rundown of how to assemble the entire car. If of course you get the kit version, which is really, really cool to see. All right, pop that aside. We'll get rid of this bag, and let's have a look in here. We have front and rear sway bars. They are supplied, but they're not installed in the car. You can choose to put them on or leave them out, entirely up to you. And then of course you have the kind of user manual for your ESC. There's also a little cable in there for the ESC, but you will need to buy the program card separately in order to program the ESC if that's what you want to do. A little antenna tube, and in this bag there is a little servo horn, which you'll see that little T plastic piece there. This actually came attached to the servo linkages and everything, but it didn't come attached to the servo, so I had to attach it on, and I tried to put it on, I couldn't, so I kind of left it out and I put my own servo horn in there. So you're going to see a red aluminium servo horn. That is not standard with the car. This plastic one is. I don't know why mine didn't come with the servo horn attached to the servo, but I don't know if all of them are going to be like that or not. But just something that you kind of need to keep in mind. The other thing as well, you will need to put the wheels on. Wheels and tyres obviously come pre-glued. You just need to put them on the car. They don't come attached. But that is pretty much all the assembly you need to do, even with the almost ready to run. And then of course you need to put your own radio in, which is what I've already done. So here is the car, here's the body, and you can see it's a very unique looking design, which I'm a big fan of. I like quirky little things like this. It doesn't look too outrageous. The color scheme is actually pretty nice. I do like the yellow, the black, you know, the kind of like it's got this concave in here, which is a really good spot for you to put your body pins when you're swapping out batteries. You can just pop your body pins in there and you hopefully won't lose them. They've also got this really cool feature where the body pins are. You can see there's a little aluminium washer to kind of stop the, well, sort of, I suppose, hold the body down a little bit better, not scratch it. That's also a big plus. Body pins always tend to scratch up bodies. And hopefully it'll help in prolong the life of the body when you do land upside down and take some tumbles with it. Underneath the body, on the body posts as well, they've also put these little rubber rings on the post. So there's a little bit of cushioning in here, and it just makes a bit of pressure on the body. And just really little things like this, you know, I really like, especially on new RCs, and you know, seeing it from a company like Hobby King. That's brilliant. I really like that. Not a lot of companies do this sort of thing. So quickly take the body off here. I'll remove these body pins as quickly as I can. Now, one of the things to keep in mind is that when you do swap everything out, these little aluminium washers, they're not attached to the body. You can probably attach them yourself if you want to, but just bear in mind that these little guys will need to, you kind of need to save them. Otherwise, if you do lose them and you go to put the body back on, you won't have that kind of clearance to be able to keep the body on nice and tight, because there's only one hole on these body posts. So just bear that in mind. And the body itself, as you can see, it's all silver underneath, yellow and black on top, and then of course you have the stickers that you need to put on. Doesn't feel too bad. With all the angles and everything that's on here, it actually gives it a bit of stiffness. It does feel a little bit thin, as most of these sort of ready to run bodies tend to feel, but with truggies, you know, my Italian body, for example, that actually lasted me a long time. Although the Italian, which is the orange one that you see back there, that's got a Proline body on it now, because eventually that did give out. That silver body that's on the Sabertooth, that's been there forever. So that I've used that body for quite a long time now. As long as you can keep the car upright, truggy bodies usually last quite a while. So hopefully this one I won't need to replace in the very near future. Now let's have a look at the main event and look at the chassis of this car. And there it is there. You can see the little rubber rings on the body posts that I was talking about. I'll see if I can get my camera to focus in properly here. So there's our brushless motor, 150 amp Trackstar ESC. The motor is a 4082 can, so it's a huge can, and it is 1450 kV, so quite a low kV, which means it's going to have a lot of torque. And that would explain why it's got a huge pinion on there at the moment for you to be able to run it on 4S. You can run this on 3S as well. It is quite manageable on 3S from the videos I've seen from Hobby King. I think if you're a beginner and you're a little bit scared of the speed and you want to sort of work your way up, 3S I think will be a good option for you. And then of course you can step it up to 4S and eventually go all out on 6S for some speed runs. It does have a little bit of carbon fiber on the front here. You have aluminium chassis braces front and rear right there, and you also have well, you can't see it very well, but you do have what looks like to be billet machined or billet aluminium, I think they call it, shock towers front and rear. Now a really cool thing that I see on this truggy that I've not seen on any of the other cars that I've had in the past is the way that the steering is done. It's very unique, I think. If you can see, it's got pillow balls on the lower A-arm and on the top A-arm here. And you kind of adjust it with the little grub screw so you can actually adjust the stiffness of it. And then of course you've got aluminium knuckles right there. It doesn't have aluminium rear hubs, but you know, the rear hubs, they might be able to be okay. It is using CVDs all around, including the center drive shafts also have CVDs. So these are all captured dog bones, so to speak. You're not going to have any slop or anything like that, and it should make for some very cool steering angles and really precise driving, which I think that's what they're going for. The wing mount, I've been warned that the wing mount on this is a little bit brittle, it's a little bit weak. So I believe that they're actually bringing out a HD wing mount, and there's even a wheelie bar that you can attach via the wing mount here, and you'll be able to do wheelies with it and have a wheelie bar kind of sticking out the back. Real nice beefy A-arms, front and rear. And as I flip the chassis over, you'll see the aluminium chassis is a repurposed nitro chassis. So you can see the remnants here of where your nitro motor would probably sit, and the oval holes would have been to adjust the mesh on your pinion and spur. One thing I'm not a huge fan of on this particular model is the battery tray. It's kind of limiting in its size. There's no adjustment. They could have definitely have gone a little bit longer because there is quite a fair bit of room here at the front. So they definitely could have gone almost an inch longer with the battery tray. There's no denying that. And even going back, they could have made it, some modifications to push the ESC backwards a bit and just have a much larger battery tray for those of us who have, long batteries, especially if you're going to be running two 3S packs, like my Max Amps, for example, or my friend Brad's got some Orion batteries, which are quite long. That would have been nice. Now, you can fit a 6S pack in here. Hobby King sell the Basher batteries, which are a 4000 milliamp 65C from memory 6S hard case pack. Really affordable battery, and I've had one of those in the past. Brilliant packs. In fact, I've got another one on the way as we speak, so hopefully I'll have it here in time for when I want to run this guy on 6S, and that will fit in here nice and snug. And you can check out the Hobby King videos on this particular truggy. They've actually showed, putting that battery in here, it fits fine. So a really cool pack. Droop screws, front and rear, pre-installed. Trackstar shocks already installed on this guy. And apparently these Trackstar shocks, I'm actually waiting on an order for some Trackstar shocks because I want to swap out some shocks on some of my existing cars and just really put these shocks to the test and just see how good they are in a variety of different sizes and diameters and so forth and lengths. This, I'm hoping, is going to be okay with these shocks. Now, it does feel a little bit underdampened and oversprung in the rear. Having said that, the car comes out of the box with the collars on the shocks kind of wound about halfway down. I did wind one of them up just to see if maybe the springs were a bit too short or not. The springs have got plenty of length, so they're definitely being a little bit compressed as they are. I may wind it up a bit, just soften it up just a smidge, just to see how it performs overall. The front is very much the same, feels under-dampened, so it looks like it needs a bit of shock oil in the front, and also have these springs kind of wound up a little bit. You can see that the car's actually got plenty of clearance there, as far as jumping and going over rough terrain. This is almost like a monster truggy, to be honest with you. The way that it's raised up like this kind of reminds me of the Creighton somewhat. So you can see the aluminium servo horn just there on the front, and this leads me to another problem that I had with this car when I was actually installing my receiver. Basically what had happened was I tried to plug my ESC cable, my ESC lead, into the receiver box at the front here, and I noticed that it just wasn't long enough. Basically I had to have the lead go across the battery tray to kind of hook up just over here near the servo horn, and then of course go into my receiver box. And I didn't like that at all because the lead just wasn't long enough. I knew that it was going to be interfering with my battery. So in the end I ended up getting a an extension. You generally buy these packs of 5 or packs of 10. You only need about 100 mil or so. You can get maybe 150 mil if you really want to, but you don't really need to do that. You can see that I've sort of twisted up a little bit of it just here on top of the diff, the center diff area, just to keep my wires out of the way. And then with that extension, I was able to route it into my receiver box quite comfortably without wires being overstretched or, kind of pushed into a particular direction and interfering with battery and all that sort of thing. So just something to keep in mind. you may want to get a servo extension lead just to run your ESC into the receiver box. So aside from that little sort of quirky thing that I had to adjust there, everything else was fine. Servo horn's a minor thing, I couldn't quite fit it on. But I'm happy that I had this red one because it kind of matches the rest of the car. And hey, Hobby King, here's a hint, supply one of these instead. These are really cool. Really nice, like a lot of steering on this, very kind of sharp angle on the wheels. Looks like it's going to have a lot of steering, this car. The tires, let's talk about the tires a little bit. Tires, actually the rubber compound doesn't feel too bad. I don't know how these knobbies are going to work on the loose gravel. Fine pin design like this usually works pretty well where I run my RCs, but the knobbies themselves do feel a little bit hard. They don't feel super soft. Obviously they've done this for a little bit of durability, but we'll see how we go. I mean, it's quite a wide tyre, very low profile as well. You can see by the rims. I really like these wheels, by the way, and if the tyres are decent, they're good. Who knows, maybe I'll get myself a spare set of tyres and put them on the Sabertooth, because the Sabertooth actually needs a new set of tyres as we speak. So these might be a good answer for it. They've got orange aluminium pretty much throughout the entire car. You've got aluminium threaded body chocks with aluminium shock caps as well. There's aluminium hinge pin braces on the front and rear of the front and rear A-arms. It looks like it's pretty well beefed up. I'm just hoping that these plastics, some of these plastics feel really stiff. They don't feel like they have a lot of give on them. I'm just hoping that they can actually take the odd impact, because really hard plastic usually means that it tends to snap rather than sort of flex and give a little bit. I've had cars where the plastic is just a bit too soft, and I've had cars in the past where it's just a bit too brittle. And as soon as you take a bad landing or you impact somewhere, they give very easily. You don't even have to be at high speed or anything like that, or be doing anything crazy. Just the odd impact will snap something like this. So hopefully these will hold up. Let's hope so, because this is a really nice looking truggy. The receiver box is not waterproof, by the way. It's not watertight. So none of this is, I believe, is waterproof. The ESC might be, but don't quote me on that. I don't believe it is. Now the ESC can run a censored motor as well, and as you can see here, it comes with XT60 connectors. And of course, if you follow the channel, you know that I'm going to be swapping this out to XT150s, because that's what I run on my big 1/8 scale vehicles. The servo itself is a high voltage servo. It says 1269 on there. It is a Turnigy servo. And don't let that fool you. Some of these servos are actually really good from Turnigy. I've had a couple myself and they are brilliant, especially for the money. The servo mount itself is super stiff, very well reinforced. I'm not expecting this guy to move around too much, in case you've got that sort of worry from some of the armor vehicles where the servo mount flexes a little bit when it's under load. You've got adjustable body posts front and rear, so putting aftermarket bodies on this shouldn't be too much of a problem. Of course, you can adjust the posts up and down a little bit to make the body fit properly. You've also got these really quite unique looking camber adjustments. Where is it? Just here. So very unique looking stuff there from Hobby King. And it's also a similar story in the front. Very, very cool. Nice big 4mm, I think these are like 3.5 or 4mm shock shafts on these Trackstar shocks. Everything about this car feels and looks to be pretty decent. I'm actually pretty impressed with it. I love the aluminium chassis braces, which means you're not going to get a lot of chassis flex in here. There's carbon fiber on top of the center diff. There's carbon fiber on top of the steering assembly at the front here. You got a really nice kind of beefy steering system going on here with the pillow bowls and the aluminium knuckles. You got CVDs all the way around. They've done a few things here that I'm actually really pleased with. And apparently the same people that make this car, they also make the RZ4, which is the rally car that Hobby King have been selling now for quite some time, which I've actually converted mine into a drifter because it actually works a little bit better as a drifter. And I may even show you a bit of a wrap up of that car and my final thoughts on that one at a later stage. So I'm pretty impressed with what I see here so far. I think this car has a lot to offer. I'm going to give it a chance. I'm going to make sure that I can, of course, give it a hard time, see how it goes overall, and then, kind of wrap this one up with a final review later on down the line. Tyres don't feel too bad. As I said, they look fantastic. The rubber just feels a little bit tough up the top, but hopefully they'll give me sufficient grip. Suspension, I think, needs a little bit of work. But to be fair, given that this is kind of like the first release from Hobby King with the car of this caliber, they kind of need to get a couple of things right. And I think the front suspension especially needs some thicker oil, perhaps even slightly softer springs, and sort of a similar scenario in the rear as well. So let's hope that this guy can hold up to some punishment. I'll definitely be taking it out to the BMX track very, very soon, possibly even tomorrow. And then, of course, I'll give you guys a bit of a show at how this guy goes, and taking it out to some speed runs as well, see how fast he can go on 4S. And of course, I'll swap out the center diff and then try 6S with the optional pinion, and just see how fast this guy can actually go, because I think they're aiming to get around about 100 Ks. Even if it has the power to go that fast, can it hold the line? Can it actually hold the speed that is 100 Ks? Because if you've seen some of my RC Speed Week series in the past, you know that there are some cars that really struggle to get even past 70 Ks an hour. So let's hope this guy can do it. That is pretty much it for this unboxing. Thank you all very much for watching. Don't forget to check out the video description. I'll have a link in there to the Hobby King website where you guys can go check out one of these, get some more information on it, some more of the technical specs. And of course, there's also a link in there to my Facebook page. And while you're at it, why don't you subscribe if you haven't already, because I always appreciate new subscribers. And leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think of the new car, and start up a bit of a conversation, I guess. That's it from me. Thank you again for watching, and I'll speak to you next time.